Guys, how are you this morning? It is, I think it's Wednesday, and it's the 5th of June, 2025. So, what am I going to talk about this morning? I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about, except that I think that keto is the solution to so many people's problems. You can heal your own health, your gut, your brain, your heart, your mitochondria. They're the powerhouse of the cells, and get yourself well so that you're in a good position. Why do we want to be well? Well, a lot of people say to me that nobody wants to be well. People hang their hat on being sick, on we kind of expect it, it's par for the course. And I know so many people who don't want to listen to me. They I say that there is a book saying the end of Alzheimer's dementia, written by a real medical doctor, Dr. Dale Bredesen. He has a protocol that has been laid out that will help you to solve your dementia problem, if not reverse it. So, but people don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. And I'm not a medical doctor. I have a master's degree in business, but I keep educating myself. Even I did a health and safety course in UCC a couple of years ago. Health, safety, welfare in the workplace. So, and I actually got top of the class. I got top of the class, but I do not work in health and safety because it's a terrifying environment. But I did it out of interest. Okay, so I wrote one of my papers on occupational health about the nursing department in a makey uppy hospital, but I was thinking about one where many of the nurses, and it has been my experience, were terribly overweight. And I introduced an occupational health plan where they would, and this was before keto. This was before my keto journey. I finished that course in 2022. I didn't start keto until 2023. This is before keto. So it was already, the cogs were moving. Something was happening somewhere. My own weight was spiraling out of control. And there was definitely, I was, the world is obese. A lot of it is obesity. So I wrote a plan on how to kind of help this group of women that would sign up for it, mainly women, it was some men as well, but that would sign up for this, not exactly a diet plan, but a kind of a plan of getting healthy, getting more involved. And if I had put keto in that, oh my God, because keto, all the hangry, see, one of the problems with dieting is it's so hard. Then you're stressed. Then you've got to do a 12-hour shift as nurses do. It's a very difficult job. Then you got to deal with people. You got to deal with parents. You got to deal with horrible, nasty other staff members. You got to deal with doctors who are snobs. I don't know why, because half of them are thick as planks. But you got to deal with all this environment. So keto makes all that easy. It makes all that easy. There's no hanger. You feel great. You feel amazing, and you're never hungry. You don't have that panic that you have when you're eating white carbs, refined carbs. This panic, this panic, this panic. You're constantly hungry, constantly thinking about food. And I would be one of those fat nurses. I feel sorry for them, but you can get ketogenic diet because you are eating protein and fats. You're focusing on protein and fats, mainly fats, to be honest. You are, and cruciferous. I eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables, which are broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and I put a load of butter and melted cheese. That sometimes is my meal, but you do need protein too, of course. So I do eat meat. Of course, steak is the best. Of course, it's the best. But in the absence of steak, there are lots of other meats that you can eat too. I do think you can eat sausages and stuff. In the strict keto environment, sausages are not acceptable because they have, some additives that are not dextrose and stuff. Okay, that's not ideal. And of course, we'd all like to be eating the best sausages with no dextrose in them, please. Of course, I want perfect world as well. We don't live in a perfect world. We have to deal with what we have to deal with. So there are certain things. I don't eat many sausages, but if I'm introducing people to keto, I do allow them to eat stuff like sausages and beans and stuff so that they can get themselves into it, so that there's a kind of a memory of carbohydrates that they can drift away from, because it's quite difficult to go cold turkey. I did go cold turkey, but it's quite difficult. So you need a bit of time, you need a bit of faith. So I wrote this program and I got a very, very high grade for it. And that is in an ideal word. But if I had keto combined with that lovely program now, that would be so good. But who would listen to me? People don't even listen to the doctors that are out there. Dale Brotherson, Dr. Gundry, Dr. Lustig, Dr. Berg. Well, he's a chiropractor. Dr. Westman. Half of the doctors, Dr. Fung, Dr. Lustig, I think I mentioned him, Dr. Seafried, half of the people that are the real doctors, the medical doctors, they mock Dr. Burke, who has 13 million followers on YouTube. They mock him because he's a chiropractor. It makes no difference if he's a chiropractor. He's a fantastic force of nature who understands the human body. Yes, he can be a little bit extreme in that, I suppose now he's kind of retired from his chiropractor job and he can sit around eating organic meat. Fantastic. And maybe his children are older or whatever, so he doesn't have that stress. Not like a working woman or a woman at home who's got kids to feed and who's trying to get it all together and everything's rushed and somebody has to go somewhere and somebody has to go somewhere. It's not always as simple as sitting down eating your lovely home-cooked organic steak. So we try to match, that's why I call it Kate's Keto. I try to match that you sometimes have to go to McDonald's. Sometimes one of your children wants to go to McDonald's, and what are you going to do? You're going to go. And you're not going to sit there with a black espresso and just go, I'm not having anything. Yeah, thanks. You're going to get engaged. But the thing about ketogenic diet, if you do it for the most part, is your blood sugar is stable and you do not feel hangry. I think the world's biggest problem is this constant feeling. I had it myself for years. I didn't know what it was. I just thought that was the way people were. I said, how can people operate being starving all the time, hungry all the time, thinking about food all the time? That's what I was. That's what I was. I would eat porridge for breakfast, I'd be starving at 10 o'clock, starving again at 1 o'clock, starving. Whereas now I can go, I went for 17 days without eating. But my body was using my battery pack, my fat, and my broken cells in autophagy, and it was using up all of that fine fat there now, which I've built up again now for the next thing, and it was using my storage system, my hybrid model, which I am made for, and I can use up my own fat, which is exactly the same as ingested food. It just breaks it down in reverse. It turns it into glucose for the blood and brain and turns it into ketones, which is also used as a fuel source. So the ketones are coming from the stored fat, but it's also being broken down into glucose. So that's why it's called ketogenic diet, because the ketogenic is the ketosis, the ketones are being produced and they are the new fuel source. So guys, nobody's listening, but I am listening to myself. And do I want to be an influencer? Of course you want people to listen to you, but I don't have an ego. I don't need that. I am keeping a record of my own journey. I am now 2 years and 3 weeks, 2 years and 4 weeks on the ketogenic diet. For the most part, I was very strict for about 6 months. I was at 156, my ideal weight, and I looked amazing, felt amazing. It's brilliant. But of course, I have children, I have a family, I have family life, I have friends, we're meeting, I'm going to have carbs sometimes, and sometimes it's going to be messier than other times, but I don't have that sense of panic that I used to have when I eat carbs and I look, all hell would break loose. That's the end of the diet. I'm just going to be fat now. Again, I'm just going to be fat. Because I was not obese, but I was over fat. That's what I was described as, and I have been tested for diabetes a couple of times, particularly when I was pregnant with my second child. I was tested. I didn't actually know that I was being tested for diabetes. That's how dense, even with a master's degree in business, that's how thick I was. And they tested me with Lucozade and I had to drink it. And then it was an insulin something test, which I have never actually gotten since. I should really get, but I do get my blood results. I've had 3 sets of blood results, each better than the other. What I will say though is my cholesterol does come out red. But cholesterol, it is good cholesterol, and you need cholesterol for every single thing. And I actually am of the train of thought, like Dr. Lustig, like a lot of Dr. Fung, that the higher end of cholesterol, as long as it's the good cholesterol, because LDL, which is considered the bad cholesterol, has two forms of cholesterol. It is large dense and small dense or large buoyant, and mine, for the most part, as far as I am aware, is large buoyant. So it's good, all good cholesterol. So guys, let's keep it there. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.